The 1% mindset, the small spark that changes everything. It was 2:07 a.m. The room was quiet except for the soft ticking of an old wall clock. A dim yellow lamp flickered over a messy desk where Alexander sat, staring at an open notebook filled with half-finished plans. His eyes were tired. His heart was heavy. And his mind kept whispering the same painful question. Am I really meant for something bigger, or am I just fooling myself? Alexander wasn't special. He wasn't the smartest in school. He didn't come from a powerful family. He didn't have expensive courses, fancy mentors, or a perfect environment. Just a regular guy, with unusually big dreams. Every night he watched successful people online, entrepreneurs, leaders, self-made millionaires. Their confidence looked effortless. Their lives looked different. Then he would look at himself in the mirror and sigh. People like them succeed, not people like me. But one ordinary night, something changed. One idea entered his life. The 1% mindset. And nothing was the same after that. The sentence that hit like lightning. Earlier that day, Alexander had heard a successful entrepreneur say something simple but powerful. If you improve just 1% every day, in 1 year you'll be 37 times better. Alexander froze when he heard it. Not because it sounded magical, but because it sounded possible. He didn't need to become perfect overnight. He didn't need to work 15 hours starting tomorrow. He just needed to become 1% better. That night, sitting alone under the yellow light, Alexander made a quiet decision. I won't try to change my whole life. I'll just improve by 1% every single day. Day 1, the real beginning. The next morning, Alexander did something unusual. He didn't create a crazy schedule. He didn't promise to wake up at 4 a.m. He didn't declare a dramatic life transformation. He simply opened his book and studied for 20 minutes. That was it. 20 small minutes. But something inside him felt different. Because for the first time, he didn't quit. Discipline begins where motivation ends. The first week felt easy. The second week felt uncomfortable. By the third weeks, the real battle began. His friends were hanging out late at night. His phone kept buzzing with distractions. His bed looked warmer than his dreams. One night, exhausted and frustrated, Alexander slammed his notebook shut. I can't do this, he muttered. I'm not built for this kind of discipline. For a moment, he almost gave up. But then his eyes fell on a small sticky note on the wall. 4 simple words. Just 1% better. He stared at it for a long time. Took a deep breath. Opened the notebook again. And kept going. The truth most people ignore. People think success comes from big, dramatic moves. But Alexander was starting to understand something deeper. Success is built on small, boring, repeated decisions. No spotlight. No applause. Just quiet consistency. So he kept going. Reading a little daily. Learning something new. Fixing small habits. Showing up even when he didn't feel like it. No shortcuts. No overnight miracles. Just the slow, powerful force of discipline. 6 months later, something changed. Half a year passed. From the outside, Alexander looked the same. Same face. Same room. Same simple life. But inside, he was sharper. Stronger. More focused. One day, results from a major college assessment were posted. Alexander wasn't expecting much. His hands trembled slightly as he scanned the list. Then he froze. His name was in the top 5. For a few seconds, he just stared. Then his eyes filled with tears. Not because it was luck. Not because it was easy. But because he knew exactly what this moment was built on. Daily 1% progress. Why some people look different. Alexander finally understood something most people miss. Successful people are not always more talented. They are not always more gifted. They are not always more lucky. They are simply more disciplined. They do what needs to be done, even when they don't feel like it. They show up, even when nobody is watching. They continue, even when progress feels invisible. The hardest month, just when things were improving, life tested him again. Alexander fell sick. His routine broke. His energy dropped. Old lazy habits started whispering again. For a few scary days, he felt himself slipping back. One evening, weak and frustrated, he opened his journal and wrote, "I don't have to be perfect. I just refuse to stop." The next day, he didn't study for hours. He just worked for 10 minutes. Because the 1% mindset has one golden rule: do less if you must, but never stop. 2 years later, the moment. Time passed quietly. No dramatic movie scenes. No overnight fame. Just steady, disciplined growth. 2 years later, Alexander stood on a stage. Bright lights. Clapping audience. A certificate in his trembling hands. Most improved performer. When he stepped to the microphone, his voice was calm but emotional. He said, "I was never the smartest. I was never the most talented. I just became 1% better every single day." The room fell silent. Because deep down, everyone knew it was true. The message for you: if you're reading this, and you feel behind in life, listen carefully. You don't need a perfect start. You don't need extreme motivation. You don't need to change everything overnight. You only need 3 things. The 1% mindset, small daily improvement, unbreakable discipline. Mood doesn't decide, habits do. The refusal to quit. Slow down if needed, but never stop. Final words that stay with you. Mountains are not climbed in one jump. Oceans are not crossed in one stroke. And success is never built in one day. It is built quietly, in small daily promises, in boring, consistent actions, in that tiny 1% that most people ignore. But the few who do change their entire life.